All right, let's get going. Shall we start?
Sure. And hi, Emily. Just wanted to welcome you too.
Hi, Emily. Woo!
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Oh my gosh, I've missed a bunch of the other meetings, but it's so nice to be here.
Good.
Good.
I
Hi,
love you.
Janice. Hi,
Oh,
Susanna. I love you, ladies.
love you.
The
All
love
right.
fest.
So I put the link to the readings in the chat. So you can click on that and then scroll all the way down to the bottom. We're going to be reading Masking Our True Selves. Okay. Children intuitively know that they'd better follow their parents' program or else. Children know that it is far more important to be who their parents want them to be than to venture off trying to be themselves. If they want their parents' approval, children had better be good. And they know that by being good means suppressing their authentic selves. Children implicitly know that they are involved in a barter and exchange program in which getting love equals giving up one's true self. Over the years, these expectations build. What was once the light of our children's authentic selves grows dimmer and dimmer. We learn to do everything in our power to avoid the painful consequences of losing our parents' love. This process happened to all of us to some degree. Instead of being given the freedom to blossom into our authentic selves, we were, mostly through implicit programming, coerced to abandon our authentic manifestations of ourselves. As this inner self muted itself, we slowly became a carbon copy of our parents' ways. We masked our true selves and eventually buried them, hoping that our new personas would provide a sense of worth and significance. Think about this grave reality. Instead of feeling as worthy and empowered as we truly are, we were made to feel like aliens in our own lives. Instead of being celebrated for who we are, each of us soon came to be left with an insecure and needy replacement, a pseudo self, hungry for worth, approval, and validation from our parents. We aren't supposed to have an inner child filled with fears and inner holes, so to speak. We are supposed to feel full, complete, and worthy. We would feel that way if we had been celebrated for our authentic selves and raised by parents who celebrated their own authentic selves. We developed this fearful inner child because we were raised by unconscious parents and an unconscious culture.
Yeah, I chose this one because it's also a doorway, or at least a pathway into how codependency also is shaped. Looking at it from that perspective, you can see how it exacerbates and helps mold the codependent process that we're trying to unravel and heal. I think it's pretty powerful, the reading, and I hope that it evoked some things in you, each of you. But it's just um, it's it's so important to me to get the foundation of how we developed. Does that make sense? So anybody want to jump in and we can have a discussion about what's coming up and how to do the healing process of this?
Um,
Holy. Go, go, go,
okay.
go, go.
Um, so it's so interesting that whole paragraph there or the chapter is I was talking to my therapist about it, that whole just came up today with my therapist, and it was really interesting. We just kind of I had like a realization a week ago that involved like my reoccurring dreams of like end of the world tidal waves, but also floating in the ocean. Like I've had this reoccurring dream since I was 7, constant, and it's not always frantic, it's not always scary. Sometimes it's calm, but there's always action and things happening. And I remembered I was my dad and I got dropped off in Mexico snorkeling in the middle of the ocean, and the guy dropped us snorkelers off and he took the scuba divers. He left us in the boat. And for 3 hours paddling in the water. And it's so funny because that I'm realizing was obviously significant, and it made a mark and some kind of trauma, but when I remember that, I look back and I don't remember anything that I was feeling. I just remember it being something that happened, and then it was done, and it's something that we talk about, just kind of like, oh, remember that time when that guy left us in the middle of the ocean, and I was like 6 years old or 7 years old, you know but I realized through just like remembering that my dad, we did a lot of things together, but he really didn't have any sense of showing me that I was going to be protected. It was kind of like, it felt like, well, yeah. So we were in the ocean for a little bit, for 3 hours. We just kind of move on. So we kind of brushed over like the rest of my life, going on. Everything was brushed over. No big deal. Like your knees bleeding from going jogging. Like there was no like, are you okay? Oh man, I know that hurts. It was like, all right, get up. You can do this. Still a smile, but come on, big girl, you can do this, and like keep on jogging. And it was just a really interesting and yeah, thing to realize. So yeah. And I mean, I could talk for 5 hours about this, but I'm gonna stop there.
Well, you can pipe in anytime you want,
Okay, thank you.
but thank you for sharing.
That was
Anybody-
brilliant. Brilliant.
Do you want to share, Susanna?
Um, so kind of like brings up some of my own personal issues, right? With my father and um I don't know. I don't even know how to explain this perfectionism and not being enough, and uh like I've talked to my counselor a lot about this because I gave a lot of forgiveness because he's gone. He's been gone since I was like 21, but he was such an impact on my life, and I really wanted that inner self to be accepted from him, but he's gone. And I love this reading. I'll just tell you. Um, I tried to like catch up and kind of think about like how to be true to yourselves and masking it and stuff. And I think it all innately comes from that inner child. And Janice, this, like, my inner child always wanted my father to accept me. He can't do it. I had to accept him for the person that he was, and he did the best he could with the tools that he had. And that's like, it's like I'm on this path right now of forgiveness of people who can't really stand up and kind of own their stuff. And at the same time, it's like, how do you help others to realize? And again, I know it's not my responsibility, but to fill those holes. And my parents weren't the best parents, and they made a lot of mistakes, but I think all of our parents are a product of their parents, of their parents, of their parents, of their experiences. And that's the stuff I've really started to realize is I had so much pain and so much anger for so long, but they tried to do what they felt was the best thing, right? And some parents aren't the best. Don't get me wrong. Like, don't negate that. But at the same time, it's like we're all products of our environment. That's just what I have.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like, when we think about our parents, many times we protect them. And instead of recognizing that we didn't get certain things, and that's more important than trying to protect anybody. It's not like parents are bad or good. we still have to recognize we didn't get what we needed from them. And how do we give that to ourselves, which is really the crucial part of how to heal from codependency is how do we become the mom and the dad or the parents or the caretaker and heal and give to us what we have always wanted and needed.
That is
Yeah.
so good. That resonates with me. Thank you.
Hmm. Yeah, it's really important because we look to others or wish that we could have finished business with somebody who has passed, and we can finish the business in ourselves by becoming what we didn't get. And that's the cool part. And then you can forgive everything because you're giving yourself what you need.
I'll
I
jump
lo-
in. Oh,
Yeah,
was
go ahead.
somebody else jumping in? Okay. Yeah, it's interesting during that reading. So, like when I was a younger child, it was like expressing myself was like not okay, right? And so I know now, especially over this last week, and maybe that's why I feel so good today, is like I have been faced with a few situations that were quite difficult. Um, But instead of like running away and not facing them and expressing like how I truly, truly feel about these situations, um, and taking a pause when needed, had to take a 2-day pause at one point. Um, and then have these conversations. One went really well, they all went good. One went so, so good. And then it was like another situation occurred and I felt myself like cowering down, like and just like wanting to isolate and like, oh, I don't need to be saying anything. But I fought myself, I was like, no, like I do have a voice. I can express how I feel, and I have the right to feel the way I do. And so I expressed myself and it felt, like I was a little nervous and then, the people pleasing and all that came in, but then I was able to completely like steer away from that direction, which was so great. Um, but another thing that popped up into my mind during the reading was I met my biological mom when I was like 19, no, I'm sorry, I was 18, 19. And it's interesting her not being in my life for so long. I was like thinking about it and it's like I really tried to match her energy when she got back into the house, like or back into my life, like with her actions and what she did. And she was a very rough, I was rough and tough too, but like she was also rough and tough. So I knew that I got that from her. But it's interesting how like I did that. I like molded. It was just interesting to think about that. But yeah, being able to like express myself, I think that's been a huge challenge of mine since I was a little girl. So that's how like I've been able to validate myself from that, and I could say like for the first time, I really feel like I am like getting closer to my authentic self.
Mm.
Like it's been a roller coaster, but it feels great. So,
Right. And
yeah.
now it sounds like now your intuition is about you helping you, and you're using your intuition to grow and develop and knowing what's right for you.
Yeah, it's so yeah, it's been great. Yeah, that connection. Mm,
I love that, Sarah. I just
mm,
wanted to speak out because every time you speak, you resonate with me. Like it
mm,
makes me think more and more and more about my life and the things that I need to do. And I appreciate you. I think
mm.
you're an amazing human.
Oh, thank you. Oh,
That's sweet.
mm.
Everybody in this whole Zoom meeting are wonderful, amazing people. Anybody else want to share? Like, I feel like everybody's in this process is, it says, instead of feeling it as worthy and empowered as we truly are, we were made to not feel that. But in this group, we're learning how to feel that and empower that and develop that and nurture that. At least that's the whole point of healing, right?
Yeah. I feel like when I listen to people on this call, Janice, like I'm an infant and I'm like this grown ass adult, and I hear these things and I'm like, oh, I thought my life was so hard. And oh, I thought I had all this done. And then I hear what they say and I'm like, you're a friggin' infant. Like, not in a bad way, but just like
Well,
it's almost like I can become the butterfly, through
you
these
bet.
conversations.
You bet. Because it's really like I talk about everybody coming into VKM as little fledglings, they're like imprinting and earnest and wanting and desiring something.
Yes. And you're amazing. You support people so much.
Well, you're supporting everybody too. Everybody here is,
That's right.
right? Anybody else want to share?
I want to say one thing, just real quick, is that another thing I noticed today was, like, realizing and learning about codependency, and just how, my path through life and looking back at it, it really has helped me just slow down and just be, I mean, I'm a lot more, instead of being scared and slow and like timid, I'm not scared anymore. I feel like I'm just flowing through life at a, I'm just not impulsive, and I'm not making, insane decisions like too quick, and it just feels good. It feels a lot better. And it's crazy how, even though like my parents weren't like frantic people, I it made me into a frantic kind of, jumbled person, where I just became very reckless because, it just seems like, um through my when my dad, wasn't showing that type of emotion to me, like the "are you okay" kind of, "don't worry, if you need to stop, you can stop" kind of thing, it just made me like really tough skin, like I can just keep going, and I'm just gonna go through anything, bloody knees, bruise on chin, etc. Um, so I'm grateful, that I've kind of learned a lot about this, so I can just kind of slow down and walk through life.
Yeah, slow down and feel.
Yeah, yeah, and I could still have fun, you know. I don't need to skin my knees every day to have fun, or run in heels drunk to have fun.
You don't need to be drunk at all to have
No,
fun.
no, I don't. Okay, I'm done.
All right. Anybody else want to share? It's a pretty important passage.
I'll go. Just thinking about the reading today definitely made me think of my upbringing. Um, my mom was very strict and wanted everything perfect. She had an ideal of like keeping up with the neighbors, how we should look, dress, act, talk, you name it. And so there wasn't really any love either way, I don't think. But I was always scared of getting in trouble. Because if I didn't do it the way she wanted, I would get in trouble. And my mom would go from 1 to 100 in the blink of an eye. She was a screamer. This was back at the time where spanking and slapping was still kind of a norm, right? That's what parents did. Um, and when I became a teenager, of course, that became a huge clash and just ended up in me hiding clothes to wear to school or whatever. Um, I remember I had these little black heeled granny boots that I adored. It was the 80s, so you gotta bear with me. I adored them and she hated them. And I wore them one day and she came to pick me up and my best friend and I got in her car. She drove me to a dumpster, made me take them off and put them in. This is just the type of stuff that was normal for her to do to get her what she wanted. And then the hardest thing with her, and even into my 30s, 40s, I would be scared to tell her something I know she wouldn't like. Um, but then she developed, oh my gosh, I can't think of it right now. I'm just total blanked. Parkinson's.
Mm.
And so the last 5 years of her life, she was like a child. Um, the last year, last months, right? She couldn't make it to the bathroom. You had to wipe her. You had to help dress her, all this kind of stuff. And so there was never any time to ever have a conversation with her because she went from being who she is to all of a sudden this invalid that you felt sorry for. Especially the way she, liked her appearances. Um, she couldn't do that anymore. So uh, I don't think I ever would have talked to her about it though, because she would never see it. Never. Not in a million years. And she's very, very, very religious as well. Um, and so it's just kind of the way it is. So I've spent my whole life um, trying to do things that won't get me in trouble.
Mm.
And I
Oh,
still think that way. Having to talk to anyone in authority, like my boss, who's I teach, so my principal is my boss. Even if he calls and says, can you come talk to me for a minute? I can't sleep that night. I am horrified, not horrified, I'm terrified that I've done something horrible. And I'll go over everything I could have done. Um, and it will turn out to be something completely harmless, So, I was hoping you would, talk to this teacher and see if you can help her, something like that. But any authority, I'm scared of.
Mm. Yeah, and I'm glad you're sharing that, Kristen, because it's like the cool thing about it is you know that now.
Yeah,
And just like I was saying a minute ago, you can heal that wound yourself. So, you know what I mean? Instead of
right,
coming from that child perspective, that fear
right,
perspective,
right,
because it's the process. It is the process for sure.
right.
but
Yeah.
I have a question because I really like everything you said. It resonates with me. Um, how do you deal with it when you went from like this childhood? Like I could totally see that whole pulling over, throwing the shoes in the garbage, that whole thing. I mean,
Right,
I've experienced those things in my life with my parents. And like I wore a shirt of my brother's once because I just loved boys' clothes. And my mom was so traumatized. And my dad was like, she's not a boy, and scissors coming out and cutting his shirt off me. And then my brother, kicking my ass for ruining his best shirt kind of thing. Um, but I think the big thing is like you go from that to where you were describing your mom, where she doesn't know, right? Like she doesn't know anything. So you never get to resolve it.
no.
That's my thing. My dad, my mom never completely got to resolve it, right?
But what does that actually mean? We don't resolve things with people, we resolve things with ourselves. It's a fantasy.
So yeah,
Yeah,
You know what I mean? You want some outcome, but the
they're
outcome is
not there.
you got to have your own internal way of resolving and finding peace with it.
well,
Because
they're always going to be who they were. You
yes,
can't change
always.
them. So I don't know. You can't resolve it if you can't get any change. You just spewed it out for no reason, honestly, uh,
Yeah.
to the person. So um, that's one thing I learned when she became ill, is that it wouldn't matter if I could tell her.
It
She,
wouldn't matter.
yeah, it wouldn't have mattered.
You wouldn't get the outcome you wanted. That's
No.
the point. But you
So the
can get out.
resolutions within. The
It
resolution
always
is
is
within?
within. It always is.
Okay.
You know, you've got to find your own peace, be your own parent, have the resolve, let go. Still wanting this, it's still very codependent, wanting somebody to help resolve something that,
That'd
I'm
be
still
nice.
codependent. I'm still codependent for
yeah,
sure.
right.
But I loved your story. Thank you.
Kate, you want to share?
Yeah. So in the reading, the sentence that hit me in the end relates to what you were chatting about now. We developed this fearful inner child because we were raised by unconscious parents in an unconscious culture. And I do believe that parents are doing the best they know how to do, the best they can with what they know. And um, I feel like, so I started to think about it a little bit, and I feel like they want the reason why they give us all these boundaries and rules and tell us how to behave is because they want to protect us. And I think, I mean, this is I'm thinking about it from this angle, and they're obviously living, somewhat unconsciously, and their ego believes that they know what is best, and so like I was told growing up, and I think that many people in this group and other places probably have similar experiences, like um don't be, I've heard it before, don't be heard, just be seen, or be seen, don't be heard, or however that saying goes. So it's just, just don't talk, like no one wants to hear from you, you're a kid, just show up in that pretty little dress that matches your sister's or whatever the hell it was. And then, my Nana teaching me to say, at her little freaking dinner parties, if someone asks you how you're doing, always say, fine, thank you, how are you? And I think that's kind of the epitome of it, is like, that's polite, that's manners, and maybe we learn that because it's kind of nice, I guess, but it's really the essence of it is like, no, don't talk about your feelings, don't talk about what you did, whatever, just say fine, thank you, how are you? And don't be chatty, don't talk to parents. I never knew how to talk to adults when I was a kid. Yeah, oh my gosh. So now, yeah, that stayed with me forever. But that then I was realizing, actually today, even I was actually hanging out with the local tribe doing some nursery stuff today, which is cool. And growing some pinions because we had some wildfires up here, and we're growing out some plants to do some restoration. Anyway, so I saw these kids that were kind of a little out of hand. Like they brought lunch for the volunteers, me being one of them. And the kids were kind of like fighting and picking on each other and like taking the sandwiches and just taking the cheese out and only eating the cheese and like doing all these things. And I'm sitting there like looking at the parents and thinking, or at least the relatives of the parents. I don't know this. I don't know who they're all related. And I'm like, why aren't they telling them? Why aren't they disciplining them? Why are they telling them not to be quiet? Why aren't they doing this? And that? And I've reflected on this before, looking at other parents and thinking, well, if they're letting them be them. So, but where's that line? And I might be off here in the topic a little bit because it's more discipline than letting them be them, our authentic self. But like I see the opposite extreme sometimes where I was very disciplined and couldn't speak up, had to be very quiet and polite and not do anything wrong, where these kids are allowed to just run free and do whatever they want. And I don't know if that's like a great reflection of the topic, but nonetheless, I don't know if it's parents letting their kids be their our authentic self or just being lazy. I have no idea. So that's kind of maybe a separate topic. But yeah, I like this reading. Again, I do believe our parents are doing the best they can with what they know. I do believe that because I feel shameful if I start to, because I'm not gonna I'm not gonna change my mom. I'm not going, and my dad's dead, so I'm not gonna talk with him about how he affected me. Anyway, I'm starting to ramble. I will pass it on to whoever else wants to chat.
No,
Great point.
yeah. Cause it's like the authentic self is critical for sure, cause we didn't get it. Look where we ended up. And we don't know, I don't know exactly what the kids were doing. They sound like they were being kids, actually, to me, taking the cheese out or whatever they were doing. So I was just saying that the authentic self doesn't necessarily mean allowing anybody to do whatever they want to do, but it's important to know what the child needs instead of what we want them to do and put our needs on them. Because that's what the reading's about. It's like we were forced into submission and constraint, you know?
But Janice, I think it's also because I completely get what Kate's saying.
Right.
It's it's the perspective of where you come from, right? Like I get it. It's like you're seen, but you're not heard. I mean, I grew up the same way. You're seen, but you're not heard. Don't have a voice, right? And now we're trying to get our voice. Like my number one thing when I, went into soul searching was what's one word that you can say that can represent why you need what you need. And it's like, um, the word is no. Being able to say no, because I never really grew up where I could say no. I was just like, okay, I'm not seen, I'm not heard. Um, I can say nothing. And no is a big thing, right? Like people don't like the word no. I'm dealing with that now. Like my work, the people are like, she says no too much. And it's like, no, but. And so I grew up in the way it's like seen but not heard, no. Your voice, who you are. Uh, I see the joy in children, like what you were describing. Like they're being chaotic. That's what they do. And I know Emily can relate to this. She's got two crazy boys. Um, she's probably still got the two tents in her house. You do. I know she does because I saw them. Um, but it's like still having a voice as a human and being able to go, I have a voice. I should be heard. You can be heard. But why is it that children always have to be heard? But we're still children too, it's like we're still trying to find ourselves. We're still struggling. We're like these little damaged human beings inside ourselves. And so being able to say no, being able to say, don't move my cheese. There's a book about that, by the way, if you want to read it. Don't move my cheese. Um, it's a good book too. So I'm struggling with that. I'm just saying, like, I tried to catch up on this reading earlier because I'm, trying to resonate and get it prepared ahead of time. But I really liked what you said, Kate. I mean, it it resonates with me. So I'll stop talking.
No, I feel like probably to me the most important thing is having an inner voice that guides us, which guides us to having an outer voice. It's not having an outer voice without having the inner voice and resonating really what you want to share and what's really going on. Just having a voice is not the goal. It's having an inner voice that's guiding you, which allows you to express yourself in a way. Do you know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
because so many people don't feel like they've been heard, so they just want to have a voice. But we're doing the same things to ourselves. If we don't have an inner voice that's guiding us and pausing and listening to it, which is the voice that's important, and then sharing it has value too. But the more important voice is the one that we need to listen to, which is our voice.
Yeah. And I think two things I told somebody today was, I know you want to say all these things, but you need to first say what you need, pause, and let other people speak. Listen, and if they want you to keep continuing, pause and say, I need a minute. So that's been a big thing for me. It's like, I am ADHD full on. Let's go. I'm just going to be like, okay, you're going to talk to me. I'm going to talk to you. Let's solve this problem. Um, and that's that inner child in me that goes, protect yourself, get out there, take care of your business, do this, you know? And then you reflect back on where you came from with your parents, like I do lately. And it's so profound how it's imprinted on you as a human being. And like I was showing my wall, like this has been a goal for me since I left my home for months and months and months and came back. Did this barnwood wall, been like purging. And I found this thing because I was literally gonna just dump everything out of my file cabinet since 2014. In 2021, I'd cut, well, 5 years before, I cut my mom off for 5 years because I thought boundaries are great. My inner child needs to be protected. And I found this email. Thank God I didn't throw everything away. And it was so profound. Like, I will share it with everybody. And it changed everything for me. It was like it came at the right time in my life. And she was telling me in that email, she's gone. She died. She's gone. She was telling me everything I needed to hear that I wish I could have heard as a child. Like, it's okay. You can do this. These things are okay. You can have a voice. You can say no. You can move forward. It's okay. Anyway, sorry. I'm a very emotional person, so I apologize.
Don't ever apologize for having feelings, and I'm glad you had that email. And what I would like to see you do, Susanna, is you be that voice from now on to yourself for yourself. That's the voice you need to hear, and you can do it yourself. I promise you can. And I'm glad you got it in that text or email too.
Yeah, I'm very blessed. I'm very
Yeah.
lucky.
Right? But now you get to incorporate that, be that.
Hell yeah.
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 I wanted to jump in real quick. I think Kristen, I think it was you that was talking about like authority when your boss wants to, somebody was, yeah. Um, but I was just putting the two together because it's like, as a child, right? I can remember like little things like you want a cookie and you like throw a tantrum, right? And only good kids get cookies, right? And I wonder like, because I have the same reactions to people in authority. And I wonder, like, I think that's probably a good point to like be like reparenting myself because it seems like that could be like something that's coming from that really like little child, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, for
Just kind
sure.
of
About
popped in
age
my head.
5,
Yeah,
5 years old.
yeah.
Because
Okay.
you're scared and intimidated,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
you're
just
afraid of getting in trouble.
mm-hmm. Makes
And that
sense.
lives in us.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that's part of the codependent part, you know, it's reparenting that 5-year-old, because you're not, nobody in this call is 5 years old. Nobody, we're all adults, but that doesn't mean we don't feel like 5 years old. And how do you recognize that 5-year-old needs you, the adult, to comfort her and soothe her and nurture her and give her what she needs, where she's not afraid, you know? What do you think, Liz? You're shaking your head, yes.
No, I mean, I'm hearing everyone shares and what you're saying, Janice, and just taking it in. You know, I mean, I think this reading is actually really rich. And for me right now, I mean, I don't know, I resonate with so much of what people said, so much of this conversation. And I think for me now, it's how do I like take that inner voice that actually was my mother's voice that was critical and all of the things. Um, how do I stop that now? And that's my job, right? That's my job to say, oh no, I don't want to talk about to myself in that way. Just the imprint is so deep. And yeah. Yeah, my mom died a couple of years ago and um well about a year and a half ago now. And you know, I do believe most of the time that she did the best she could with what she had, you know, the tools she had and all that. And the generational, she's a, you know, she had her own trauma that she was dealing with that caused her to do these things. But I do have to say, sometimes I think like, did she do the best? I don't know. I don't even think that matters actually anymore, because really it's just me and my heart and my adult self. Um, and you know, finding that resolution um within me is really about loving my inner little girl and fully accepting me for who I am, and um you know, not living in fear, giving myself permission to use my voice, to um to speak, to say, you know, and then to develop confidence with that. So that's part of my path. And um I just really appreciate this reading, Janice. So thank you, and thank you everyone for everyone's shares.
Yeah,
Well, well said.
it's a very thought-provoking and feeling reading, because it speaks to what brought us here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It really does. And going back to having a voice, if you don't know your own voice, you're not going to have a voice. I'm going to say it again, because it won't, it just will be, it's like, how do you hear your own voice and know it? Like really know what you are saying and need and hear it.
Mhm.
Then you can convey it much more easily than just having a voice.
Yeah. And I
It's
feel like
that
in
voice.
recovery, that's one of the things that I've been really practicing is to listen to myself, to pay attention to what I'm feeling, to learn about who I am and
Mhm.
how I am in, you know, sober. And um uh and it's quite an adventure. But but it's you
I
know,
love that. It is an adventure. I love it.
is. And I think one thing that at a certain point, and I don't remember when, I did just turn from like um being, I guess, a little bit fearful to what I might find in myself, to curiosity about, well, what do I like? Well, what do I have to say? Really? And then paying attention. I like how you shared that, Janice, and emphasized that, because having been so dissociated for so long, I really didn't know myself at all. So,
You know, and it's really important to honor. See, the irony is we want other people to listen to us. That's why we want to have a voice. And I'm going to bring it back. If we listen to ourselves, that's the important person that's going to hear us. Some people will hear you, some people won't, but if we practice, we can always hear ourselves and honor ourselves and nurture ourselves.
Yeah, that's something I've been definitely working on, and I've been doing really good. And that's probably another reason why I'm feeling good too, is because it's like when I use my voice or when I do something that my intuition is saying, I'm taking that moment to be like, good job, Sarah. Way to go. You know? Yeah.
And
I
it
love
feels
that.
right. It feels right,
Yeah.
right?
it's
Jennifer, did you want to share anything? Because you've been quiet.
Um, first of all, I appreciated the reading, and then I was kind of going back to the reading before, because I haven't been able to join all of these classes because of, or whatever they are, Zoom, because of the time, and I'm in Boston, so it's the time difference.
Right.
Anyways, there's no excuse. And I've missed the groups, and I really appreciate the topics discussed. And so I read the tolerant one above this, as well as this, and it seemed like they really go together. And I wish that, is this the last class? Or is, oh, good, thank God. Because I really want to try to make them, because I was reading both readings, and I just am like stuck in this loop. I'm just really stuck. I had I feel like I did so good, like trying to reparent myself for so long, and I did a lot of work with my husband who's deceased now. He's but anyways, and I somehow got back into in a relationship now with a man that is like my family, like all the bad things about me.
Yeah.
are.
Happens.
And so I'm trying to get that my voice back in a way that he hears me, but I don't think he can, because he has no. I think I don't want to judge him or whatever, but I think I looked for it somehow, but I wasn't really looking for that. Do you like I was looking to finish that unfinished business.
Right.
So anyways,
And just remember, you listen to yourself, Jennifer, and then you'll know.
right.
If you want somebody else to hear you, it's hit and miss. I'm telling you, I don't care who it is. Partner,
I
parent,
need to hear myself. That's
you
it.
gotta hear
I need to
yourself.
I'm gonna write it down. I take notes. I need to hear myself. So that's
You
all.
know.
I need to hear myself. And then,
Right.
but what if it's like about a topic that is like involving me in decisions, and I'm not heard, then I need to listen to myself even more.
Yes, you have to know what what you want,
Right.
what you need.
And stick to it. Don't like listen to myself. Okay. Thank you.
That's the voice, right? Where you say no.
When you said that, no.
No. I never said no to people. I always was like, maybe I didn't say yes, but I would say, let me think about it. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do this. And actually, it was yes a lot of times, but no. Or wait. I need more information. I learned that from Janice. Like,
Oh, thank you.
and then you can go, no.
Yeah.
Or
Is
yes,
that- or yes, if you like it, or
yeah, but you get a
maybe
chance.
we meet in the middle here, right?
You know, if you don't pause, you're not gonna know.
Exactly.
And it's okay. I have to like think that's the biggest one. Like it's okay. Like that's like the scare. Like I'm still scared. Like that authority figure type thing. When I like in
Right, but that's, 'cause Jennifer, you go back to being 5 and you gotta remember you're not 5. You gotta remember that you, Jennifer, need to take care of your 5-year-old, not letting the 5-year-old dictate how you choose or don't choose.
I am not 5.
You're not,
I actually have a picture of myself, one of few, of when I was 5. And my wife is like, "You were the cutest 5-year-old." I was like, "Who was not a cute 5-year-old?" I mean, we're so innocent, we're so young, we're so amazing, we're so ready for life, right? And that was me in that photo. I can see it and I look at it and it's going on my wall. It's going to remind me that's your 5-year-old. It's okay to embrace her, but you also get to be your adult self with that fun side of the 5-year-old, right? Like the
adults
5-year-old
have a
could,
lot of fun. You don't have to be 5 to have fun.
well, I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. But
I
like all
meant,
the things I loved as a 5-year-old, you're right.
right, and the 5-year-old is part of us, no question, but adults can be whatever they want to be. They don't have to be just an adult. I mean,
That's
that's
true.
what makes
That's true.
people not want to grow up. Garbage.
Okay. So
Not
the
you, but
next,
that the adult can have abundance and joy and excitement
yes.
and creativity, you know,
And put your feet in the ground and feel the earth
all of
and
it.
yeah.
Get dirty. I mean, what, just being an adult is like, we have preconceived notions why we don't want to grow up because we don't want to be an adult, but an adult allows us freedom to do all of that.
Mm. So maybe in your next session, you and Liz, we can bring our 5-year-old selves a photo and who we are today, and we're self session and how we have become and how we are becoming better people, right? Like how we're embracing our 5-year-old, how we're embracing our adult self, and how they come together.
Right.
Because I go out every chance I get and I ground my feet in my grass. I meditate in the mornings. I hope you're doing it too, Emily. And like I can feel it. I can feel myself. Anyway,
Right. So, but that's you being you. It's not you being your 5-year-old. She's just part. Trust me, you got to integrate
yeah.
them.
But she's fucking cool. I'm just telling you.
So are you.
Thank you. I love you. I wish I could squish you.
All right, guys. I mean,
Thank you.
I am so glad you all showed up and I love this conversation.
Is there a new link
you.
every week?
Huh?
Is there a new link every week?
Same
No.
link.
Oh no, wait for the readings.
Same link.
Same link. Okay, I just have to make sure I get to it. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Liz.
guys.
Thanks,
You're welcome.
Janice.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye, Susanna.